Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to give you a short briefing on the tragic events that are taking place in Jerusalem as Israeli army has and security forces have stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque 2 nights in a row, have brutally beaten Palestinian worshippers there, and have created a crisis which has led to exchange of rocket fire by Hamas and Israel, both in the northern side and the southern side of the Israeli border. Before I get into the nitty-gritties of this briefing, please subscribe to Khanversations. Be sure to like the video and press the bell icon so that you get further notifications of new videos that I will be posting. Israel has been in a state of, shall we say, political turmoil for several years, as they've had to have many elections quite frequently in the past 4 to 5 years. The internal weaknesses of the Israeli society have been surfacing repeatedly. And now, since the latest election, in which Netanyahu has come to power with perhaps the most right-wing and extremist of Israeli governments ever, the crisis of Israeli politics is taking international dimension as traditional allies like the United States and other Western countries have become very wary of providing support to a government which is determined to break all the international rules and agreements with regards to the Arab-Israeli conflict and the future lands allocated for a Palestinian state. Not only that, but after coming to power, the Israeli government Netanyahu government has proposed to restructure the architecture of the Israeli government, basically reigning in the Supreme Court and undermining the independence of the judiciary. This effort has been seen by most Israelis for what it is, an attempt to create an electoral dictatorship in Israel. And so for the last few weeks, you've seen intense protests in Israel against the current government's decision to basically undermine Israel's democracy. This protest was very significant, these protests, because not only were they very intense, they were dividing the country, but the protesters were also getting support from the military and especially from the veterans. And that was perhaps one of the biggest developments in Israel's political culture. Israeli government seems to be determined to ensure that the executive will be able to pursue the goals of, for example, annexing the entire West Bank, building new settlements, violating all international laws, etc., without any hurdle from its own legal system and court systems. Some of the right-wing governments in Israel, political parties in Israel, see Israeli Supreme Court as an enemy to their political ambitions. And so they are basically trying to domesticate Israeli Supreme Court. So in the middle of all of this turmoil, which was definitely causing stress on the most important relationship that Israel has is with the US, as more and more people, especially from the Democratic Party, have been moving away from providing a blank check to Israel and uncritical support to Israel. And as Israel becomes less and less of a democracy, the only excuse that the West has of supporting Israel, that it is the only democracy in the Middle East, seems to be evaporating. And if Israel ceases to be the only democracy in the Middle East, then it'll remain the only apartheid state in the world. Its attack on Al-Aqsa Mosque during the month of Ramadan was clearly designed to provoke the Palestinians to respond, and they did in the only way they can, throwing stones, firing fireworks, and those feeble rockets that Hamas possesses. But this was clearly a provocation from the Israeli security forces, which went into the mosque and brutally beat the worshippers, and you can see in the video how brutal they were. But what this has done is taken the attention away from the protests, the attention away from the divisions within the Israeli society, and is forcing the protesters to align with the government in its so-called war against the Palestinians. There are two reasons why I think this is the new normal for Israel. And those two reasons are, one, Joe Biden's insistence that his support for Israel is ironclad.
We're going to discuss the ironclad commitment, and this is, I'll say this 5,000 times in my career, the ironclad commitment the United States has to Israel based on our principles, our ideas, our values. They're the same values. And
what he really means is no matter what Israel does, if it ceases to be a democracy, Biden likes to see the world as divided into two camps, democracy and autocracy. And if these judicial reforms go through, Israel will firmly be in the autocratic camp. But that doesn't matter. The US will continue to see it as a democracy. But this argument that Biden repeatedly makes, that is his support for Israel is ironclad, which clearly keeps sending the signal to Israelis that no matter what you do, no matter how many human rights violations you commit, no matter how many international laws you break, America will not abandon you. We will provide you with billions of dollars in aid, military support, security, and diplomatic cover in all international organizations. So this is one reason why Israel definitely does not believe in the rule of international law, does not obey human rights principles, or even international rules. And so as long as the US commitment to support Israel is ironclad and the US remains a dominant hegemon worldwide, Israel will continue to behave as badly as it wants. The second thing that has empowered Israel to continue its brutal military occupation against Palestinians and its shocking treatment of Palestinians even during the holy month of Ramadan is the Abrahamic Accords. The Abrahamic Accords have sent a signal to Israel that the Arab nations do not care about the Palestinians and their situation anymore. And they are willing to normalize relations with Israel, regardless of what Israel does to the Palestinians. So these two things, the ironclad support from the US and the Abrahamic Accords, have both told Israel, you're free to do whatever you like with the Palestinians. Americans don't care. The Arabs don't care. And this is what we will continue to see. And of course, the Western leaders, of course, hypocrisy comes naturally to them. They will talk about how Russia cannot break the rules and international norms and expand territory by use of force, but they are okay with Israel doing that on a daily basis and expanding settlements, etc. So I have no policy recommendations. I just wanted to just point out one more thing, that China apparently is taking, once again, a leadership role in this mess. It is introducing a discussion, at least at the UN Security Council, on the way the Israelis are treating the Palestinians. I think that since Xi Jinping's visit to Riyadh, China is rapidly becoming the most important power in the Middle East. Thank you very much. I'm getting phone calls from everywhere else. I'll talk to you later. Please subscribe to Khanversation, ring the bell icon, and like the video. Take care.